So thanks so much for accepting the invitation to be a guest with me on the Going Long podcast with Billy Keels. I am absolutely sure that we're going to have a wonderful conversation and you are going to make a massive positive impact on all of the Going Long audience. So what I thought would do after having done this for a couple times now, there's some things that I'm recognizing that happen all the time. And in order to help you be more prepared and also for us to maximize the amount of time that we speak to one another, we're making this video for you. And if you have any questions before our video, just definitely get in touch with the team and they will answer any questions. But this video is for you. What you're going to see and understand is some of the different things, like what happens once you accept the invitation, which is why you're here already. We're going to talk about some of the equipment that would be probably best for you to use. We're going to talk about the surroundings when you're actually in the recording with the two of us. We're going to talk about your internet connection, and we're going to talk about what will happen in the 5 minutes before we actually get started. And then I'm going to tell you about Javier, who is our 39-year-old IT sales executive, and he is the person that is going to be listening to us in the conversation. So once this is all said and done, you're going to be prepared for a wonderful conversation. I'm going to really be looking forward to seeing you and welcoming you on the Going Long podcast with yours truly, Billy Keels. So let's go ahead and start the first part of this brief video stuff. So you've already accepted the invitation and that's why you're here. So there is a Zoom link that has been sent in the invitation. So in that Zoom link, you should have the actual link and any passcodes that you will need. That should all come to you just by default. So make sure that you have your Zoom link as well as the passcode so that on the day and the time of our conversation, you have everything that you need to get the two of us connected to one another. So that's pretty simple. And we're going to go into what type of equipment you should be prepared to have. So you've gotten this far, and listen, this is really about equipment. We're going to keep this as simple as possible. It would be great if you have a microphone like this one and you have a filter like this one, and I've been doing that. But before, I used to just have headphones and my laptop. Well, what's really important is if you can have headphones, it will definitely help you to listen to me because I know it helps me to listen to you. Now I could get better headphones or whatever, but the idea is just to have something so that you can be listening. If you have a nice microphone, that would be fantastic. And more importantly, this is really the equipment that you need. And you're also going to need to have a laptop or a PC or something like that. I have a camera, which is a plug-in camera, but if your camera comes with, or your laptop comes with a camera, that's all you're going to need. So like I said, headphones, definitely have them. If you have a microphone, great, a little filter and a camera and your laptop or PC, and that's all you need. So let's go ahead and talk about what should happen around you. So this is surroundings, and I've actually been fortunate enough to interview people from all over the globe so far, which is fantastic. And the one thing that I would recommend is that you are in a place that is quiet. And it can be high ceilings, low ceilings, but in as much as you can have like curtains or something on the floor so that it can take away some of the vibration. Even where I am now, it's not the ideal place, but it's really, really quiet. Because what you don't want to have is a bunch of noise in the background. Make sure you turn off your computer. Make sure not turn off your computer, but make sure you turn off your mobile phone. Make sure you unplug the phone. If you're in a room and you still have a landline, like that's happened to me in the past. And so I have to make sure that I take the phone off every single time. And that's pretty much it. A nice quiet place, and try not to be outside. If it's outside, it can be a little bit crazy. Definitely be inside in a quiet place and in a smaller room as possible. So that's it. And make sure you keep your phones off. All right, we're going to go into internet connection next. So this is something that's really important. And in the beginning, I was doing everything on Wi-Fi. And depending on where you are in the world, you may have 4G, you may have 5G, you may have a strong Wi-Fi. Not sure, but what I've found that it works the best for me and for my guests is if you can be plugged in directly into the hard wire. So actually I have a wire. I don't know if you can see it here. Well, maybe you can. I'm going to show it to you here. I'm actually hardwired in. So for every conversation, I have a hard wire. And if you can, it just makes for the highest quality output on your end as well as my end. So as much as possible, be plugged in. If you have to go the next, then be plugged into a Wi-Fi. And if you can avoid it, on your 4G or 5G on your phone. But that's it. So be hardwired if you can. And let's go into what's going to happen before we get started in our conversation. All right, I'm really looking forward to this. It's almost time for us to have the conversation. So ideally, you're going to be there about 5 minutes before the conversation. We can have a little bit of a chat, get to know more about you. You can know more about me. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at one of the previous episodes of the Going Long podcast. That always helps, just so you can kind of see a little bit about how I ask questions and things like that. Because it's really important. If not, and I'm going to share with you right now, in that first 5 minutes, we'll talk about it, but it's really important for you to know that I'm always going to ask everybody the same 5 questions. I'm going to ask you 2 questions up front, then we're going to get into your backstory. The first question is always where you live, and if you can help people to understand where specifically you live. If you're based in the United States, which the majority of you are, because this is the Going Long podcast, helping people to feel comfortable and confident investing beyond their backyard, at least as of today. And most of you are in the United States. So where you live in the United States, you can talk about your city. If you're not comfortable with that, talk about the state, and always help people understand where you are in the United States. About 50% of the database is based in the United States. The other 50% is outside of the United States. So first question is always, where are you based in? Where do you live? City or country or state? The second question is always, what is the most positive thing that's happened to you in the last 24 hours? Then we'll go into your backstory, and depending on how you answer that, we'll have just a normal conversation, or I'll ask you a number of the questions that the team always provides me early on. So then we'll talk for about 21 to 27 minutes. And then after that, we are going to go into the Going Long Final 3. I'll ask you if you're ready for me to ask you the Going Long Final 3. You'll say yes. And then the first question of the last 3 is, what is your favorite European city, either that you have visited or is still on your bucket list? If you still don't know yet, go look up your favorite city in Europe that you've thought about and be ready for that question. The second question is, as any successful entrepreneur, investor, you've probably made a couple of mistakes. Really interested that you share a mistake that you can share with Javier. Like, not the mistake, but more importantly, what was the lesson that you learned from that mistake? And you can share that with Javier, who I'm going to tell you about in just a couple minutes. And so the very last question that I'm going to ask you is, of the Going Long Final 3, I always want to fill the brain with new information, new content. So I'm going to ask you to share your book recommendation to the Going Long audience. And so with that will bring us, you'll answer that question. I'll do a quick recap. And then what I will ask of you is that you talk about the best way to get in touch with you or your team or your ecosystem or your organization, whatever the case may be. So be ready to talk about your social media site, your social media links, your website, your email address, your phone number, whatever it is that you like and you want people to contact you there. That's what I'm going to give you the opportunity to do. So be ready to talk about that, and be ready because the Going Long audience will contact you. So if you give them their phone number, be ready for it to ring. Just saying. Anyway, so that's it. I am really looking forward to having a conversation with you. It's going to be awesome. Be relaxed, be calm. It's just a conversation, and you're going to be adding lots and lots of value to the Going Long audience. So with that, sticking around, great. It's really important that you listen to who Javier is, some of the things about him, because this is going to help you to connect even more with the Going Long audience, because this is the person that you and I are going to be speaking to. So let's get into Javier, and then I am really looking forward to you joining me on the Going Long podcast with Billy Keels. Go out and make it a great day. So I wanted you to make it a great day. At the same time, I want to introduce you to Javier, who is our 39-year-old IT sales executive, and Javier is extremely successful. And why is Javier successful? Well, he's successful because he says he is. And he says that for a couple of reasons. I guess number one, Javier is someone who has his college degree. So he has a great college degree, and he's working for a market-leading software company. And because of that, he is someone that is very, very confident. He is sure of himself, and he is very proud father of 2, and he is a husband as well. So with Javier, he is someone who is, well, I guess, you know what? You can pick whatever European city you want Javier to live in. That's up to you. everything else I'm going to tell you about Javier, right? And so as a successful person, Javier is someone who has really enjoyed being able to take his clients to really nice lunches, really nice dinners. He loves being able to take his wife and kids to really nice lunches, really nice dinners. And he is also interested in having those really nice things like the 10,000 euro watches, the 1,000 euro shoes. He loves that. He has the really nice suits, and he's constantly looking about improving things like that. And so he also has some experience in terms of investing. And that investing experience is really because of the fact that he's successful and he's a high wage earner. Now, Javier is someone who earns about 170,000 to 200,000 euros a year. That's about 190 to 220,000 US dollars. But just to give you a caveat, that is actually, he's in the highest tax bracket, meaning for every euro he earns, he's going to pay about, at least at the country level, 37, 39, 40%, let's call it. And then he's going to have to pay his regional or state tax. So he's probably paying about 50 cents on the euro or 50 cents on the dollar. For every dollar he makes or every euro he makes, he's paying 50% to the government. So, and once again, Javier is successful. Now, Javier, in very European fashion, he has 5 weeks of vacation, and he loves being able to take at least 4 of those weeks of vacation to some really nice international destination. Now, he takes his wife and kids, and they typically are staying in nice 5-star hotels. And when they're in those in the hotels, they really love being able to take the pictures, send the videos all over the different social media websites and things like that. Because once again, he is someone who's successful, and he wants everyone to know that he's successful. And this is a way that he can show that. And he has some investing experience as well. And Javier's investing experience goes like this. Number one, he is maxed out on his 401k or defined contribution plan, because every country calls it something else. And remember, you pick the country that Javier lives in Europe. And so, but he's maxed out on his defined contribution plan. He also invests in other IT companies, and those other IT companies, he knows a lot about them, and because he's typically competing against them. And so he either is doing that through stocks or sometimes mutual funds. And the other thing is Javier is also really, really heavy in cash. Like, he loves keeping money in the bank because he's successful. And this is a way that he is able to feel very comfortable, because he sees his money go up every single month. And that's something that's important to him. And he also has some experience with real estate. And the thing is, Javier, he and his brother and sister inherited a home. And this home that they inherited, well, you know what? They actually pay 75 euros or about 90 US dollars per month to maintain this property, because Javier is successful. This is what successful people do. And yes, there is a tenant in the property. And in spite of there being a tenant, they're each paying $90 a month to maintain the property. And you know what? Because he's successful, Javier knows that they're going to pay every single month, because eventually they're going to sell that property. And when they sell that property, all that money is going to come back to them. And that's just what successful people do. Javier also loves being able to go to his son's soccer matches and his son's different activities that he has, sporting events, things like that. And he loves going to his daughter's ballet recitals. He loves being able to be there with his wife, talk to other parents, and be there and be seen. And so all of this was really, really cool until one day, Javier kind of made a big mistake. Javier, once again, is a sales executive, and in his sales meeting, he decided to tell his boss that he was going to have to call down his number, meaning that he was going to lower his sales quota. He wasn't going to be able to reach the quota that he had given. And Javier did this about the second week of the quarter, which is probably, for those of you who know anything about sales, is not the right time to do that. So the thing that happened is his boss just went absolutely upset. He starts screaming at Javier. He starts yelling at Javier. He tells him absolutely not. He's not going to accept that he's not going to make his number. And you know what happened? He starts yelling at him. He says, Javier, you're going to have to get on a plane. You're going to have to fly. I don't care how much time you spend in the airport. You're going to stay in the hotels. You're going to be preparing your presentation, because you're going to absolutely make your quarter. You're going to make your number. You're going to make your quota. And Javier's just thinking to himself, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go into the airport. I'm going to spend so much time. I'm going to be staying in the hotels. I'm going to be eating by myself. I'm going to be eating late. I'm going to be eating poorly. I don't want to do this. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be missing my daughter's ballet recital. I'm going to miss my son's soccer match. and he's just feeling terrible. And he just knows that all these things are just ruining his life. And at the same time, he's sweating and he's not feeling well. And but he doesn't know what else to do. And so the thing is as this is happening, he looks over and he sees his colleague, and the same thing is happening to his colleague. His colleague dropped his number. He said he's not going to make the sales quota, and this quarter is not going to happen. And Javier's in the back of his mind. He's thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to take that vacation. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to do that. And he's seeing his friend, and his friend is like going through the same thing, but he's cool, calm, and collected. And Javier's thinking, well, how is this possible? He just dropped his number as well. He's not going to make his sales quota, and he's completely calm, cool, calm, and collected. So Javier, at the end of the sales meeting, walks over to him and he's like, hey man, why is it that, you dropped your call and the boss is yelling at you, but you just look cool, calm, and collected? And his buddy said, well, Javier, why are you not? And Javier said, well, because if I don't make my quota, I'm not going to be able to buy the nice watch, the nice suit, and I'm not going to be able to go on vacation, and I'm going to have to be in the hotel, which means I miss my son's soccer match and my daughter's ballet, and I'm not going to be able to take my wife to a nice dinner because I'm going to be staying in a hotel, and all these things. And he's just stressing again. And his buddy said, well, Javier, it sounds like you have issues with your finances, like with money. And Javier says, well, yeah, don't you? And at this point, his friend said, well, no, I don't. I actually have that part of my life already taken care of. I actually come into this job every single day because I want to be here, not because I need to be here. Javier said, well, how's that? And he said, well, because I've been investing in real assets, actually, with this guy who lives in Europe. He said, well, how's that possible? He said, well, what is real assets? And he said, well, like real estate. So he's basically investing in real estate, and he lives here in Europe. And he's like, well, what? Real estate? And so remember, Javier, his idea of success, he's paying 75 euros or $90 a month. And so he's not really understanding how this is working. And he said, well, I got to talk to this guy. I want to meet this guy. And his buddy says, hang on a second. He said, look, I've got a better idea. You see, the guy that I'm investing with, he actually has a podcast. And on this podcast, he invites the absolute best real asset experts in US-based real assets. He has them on twice a week. He interviews them. So, you know what, Javier, you can actually learn more about the US-based real asset market because he's interviewing these people. And also, every single time at the end of every episode, he gives you, Javier, the opportunity to reach out directly to the guest on the show so that you can find out more about what they're doing and the specific niche that they're involved in, the specific ecosystem they're a part of. And so it really gives you the opportunity to reach out and be in more control of who you want to talk to. At the same time, you can reach out to the guy who's the host of the podcast. And then the whole thing is, that's where you, as today's guest, and I come in, because we're here as part of the Going Long podcast, which is helping people to feel much more comfortable and confident investing beyond their backyard. And you are today's expert guest. And so Javier is going to learn so much from you. He's going to learn a lot about the different niche that you're involved in. And you are also going to give him a chance to reach out to you by the end of the episode. So once again, like I said, I'm really excited about you being a guest on the podcast. And I'm really looking forward to meeting you at the day and the time that you sign up for. And make sure that you're there about 5 minutes before. We can have a quick chat. If you have any questions, things you want to talk about that you don't want to talk about, we can take care of all of that. And then afterwards, in about 21 to 27 minutes, we're going to have a conversation. And then you're going to make amazing positive impact on the Going Long audience. And they're going to be loving having you come back again in the future. So with that, thanks so much. And I look forward to having you as a guest on the Going Long podcast with Billy Keels. And make it a great day. Ciao.